Have you ever laughed at something, only to immediately regret it when you saw the look on someone's face? That split second when you realize your laughter has just cost you respect, trust, or even a relationship? We've all been there. But what if I told you that one of the greatest minds in psychology identified specific situations where laughter can completely destroy your reputation and the respect others have for you? Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, spent his entire career studying human behavior, and he understood something profound about laughter that most people miss. Laughter isn't just about humor or joy. It's a complex social tool that reveals our deepest character, our values, and our emotional intelligence. And when used incorrectly, it can be the quickest way to lose respect. Today, we're going to explore 4 critical situations where laughter will make people lose all respect for you. These aren't just random scenarios. They're based on Freudian psychology and decades of research into human behavior. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly when to hold back your laughter, why these moments are so important, and how mastering this skill can transform how people perceive you. But before we dive in, let me ask you something. Think about someone you deeply respect. Now imagine them laughing at a funeral, mocking someone's pain or ridiculing someone's dreams. That image doesn't fit, does it? That's because respect and inappropriate laughter cannot coexist. The people we admire most know exactly when to laugh and, more importantly, when not to. Freud once said, "He that has eyes to see and ears to hear may convince himself that no mortal can keep a secret. If his lips are silent, he chatters with his fingertips. Betrayal oozes out of him at every pore." What he meant is that everything we do communicates something about who we are. And laughter, perhaps more than anything else, reveals our true character to the world. So let's get into these 4 situations. Pay close attention, because recognizing these moments and controlling your response could be the difference between being respected and being dismissed. The first situation where you must never laugh is when someone shares their pain or vulnerability with you. This might seem obvious, but you'd be surprised how often people get this wrong. When someone opens up about their struggles, their fears, their failures, or their trauma, they're giving you something precious. They're trusting you with a part of themselves that they usually keep hidden from the world. Now you might think, I would never laugh at someone's pain. But here's where it gets tricky. Sometimes we laugh not because we find their pain funny, but because we're uncomfortable. We don't know how to handle the emotional weight of what's being shared, so we laugh nervously, or we try to lighten the mood with humor, or we minimize their experience by treating it as less serious than it is. Freud understood this better than anyone. He knew that humor and laughter often serve as defense mechanisms. In his work on defense mechanisms, he explained how we use humor to distance ourselves from uncomfortable emotions. But here's the problem. When you laugh at someone's vulnerability, you're not just using a defense mechanism for yourself. You're telling that person that their pain isn't valid, that their feelings don't matter, and that you're not a safe person to confide in. Think about it this way. Imagine you gather the courage to tell someone about a traumatic experience from your childhood, something you've never shared with anyone before. You're nervous, maybe even shaking as you speak. And when you finish, the other person chuckles and says, "Oh, that's not so bad. You should hear what happened to me." How would you feel? Dismissed, invalidated, disrespected, and you'd never open up to that person again. Freud said, unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. When people share their pain with you, they're trying to express those emotions, to process them, to heal. If you respond with laughter or humor, you're forcing them to bury those emotions again, and they'll remember that you weren't there for them when they needed you most. The people who command the most respect in our lives are the ones who can sit with us in our pain. They don't try to fix it or joke about it or compare it to their own experiences. They simply listen, validate, and show empathy. That's the kind of person people trust. That's the kind of person people respect. So when someone shares their vulnerability with you, stay present. Make eye contact. Let your face show compassion, not discomfort. Say things like, "Thank you for trusting me with this," or "That sounds really difficult," or simply, "I'm here for you." Whatever you do, don't laugh. Don't minimize. Don't deflect. Just be there. The second situation where laughter destroys respect is when someone experiences failure or makes a mistake. Now, this one is particularly important because our culture has a strange relationship with failure. On one hand, we claim to value learning from mistakes and taking risks. On the other hand, we often mock people when they fail, especially if their failure is public or embarrassing. Freud's work on the psychology of humor revealed something fascinating. He argued that much of our laughter comes from feelings of superiority. When we laugh at someone's failure, we're unconsciously saying, "I'm better than you. I wouldn't have made that mistake." It's a way of elevating ourselves by putting someone else down. But here's what happens when you laugh at someone's failure. First, you immediately lose their respect because you've shown them that you lack empathy and emotional maturity. Second, you lose the respect of everyone watching because they realize you're the kind of person who kicks others when they're down. And third, you reveal your own insecurities because secure, confident people don't need to laugh at others to feel good about themselves. Think about the most respected leaders, mentors, and role models in history. Did they laugh at people's failures? No, they encouraged people to try again. They helped people learn from their mistakes. They created environments where failure was seen as part of growth, not something to be ridiculed. Freud once observed, "Most people do not really want freedom, because freedom involves responsibility, and most people are frightened of responsibility. When someone fails, they're taking responsibility for trying something difficult. They're exercising their freedom to take risks and pursue goals. If you laugh at them, you're punishing them for having courage. And the next time they're faced with an opportunity, they'll remember how you made them feel and they might not try at all." Let me give you an example. Imagine a colleague gives a presentation at work and it doesn't go well. Maybe they stumble over their words, or their technology fails, or they just can't answer a tough question from the boss. After the meeting, you have a choice. You can laugh with others about how awkward it was, or you can pull that colleague aside and say, "Hey, that was a tough room. You handled it better than I would have." Which version of you would people respect more? Which version would that colleague remember 5 years from now when they're in a position to help or hurt your career? The answer is obvious, but it goes deeper than that. When you laugh at failure, you create a culture of fear around you. People stop taking risks. They stop being creative. They stop being honest about their mistakes because they know you'll mock them. And in the long run, that affects not just their respect for you, but your own growth and success. Instead of laughing at failure, be the person who normalizes it. Share your own failures openly. When someone makes a mistake, focus on what they can learn from it. Create an environment where people feel safe to try, to fail, and to grow. That's what respected people do. That's what leaders do. The third situation where laughter kills respect is when someone shares their dreams, goals, or aspirations with you. This one is particularly painful because when people share their dreams, they're showing you the most vulnerable part of themselves. They're telling you what they hope for, what they believe they're capable of, what they want their life to become. And yet, how often do people laugh when someone says they want to start a business, write a book, become an artist, or pursue an unconventional path? How often do we hear, "That's cute," or "Good luck with that," said with a smirk and a tone that drips with skepticism? Freud understood the human psyche well enough to know that when we laugh at someone's dreams, it's usually because of our own unfulfilled desires. He wrote extensively about projection, the defense mechanism where we attribute our own unacceptable thoughts and feelings to others. When someone shares a bold dream and we laugh, we're often projecting our own fear of failure, our own regret for not pursuing our dreams, or our own jealousy that they have the courage we lack. But here's what that laughter does. It doesn't just hurt the person sharing their dream. It reveals everything about your character. It shows that you're threatened by other people's ambition. It shows that you'd rather see people play small than support them in playing big. It shows that you measure your worth by comparing yourself to others rather than by your own standards. The most respected people in any community are the ones who champion others' dreams. They're the ones who say, "That sounds amazing. How can I help?" They're the ones who believe in people before those people believe in themselves. They're the ones who create a rising tide that lifts all boats. Freud said, "The mind is like an iceberg. It floats with 1/7 of its bulk above water." What he meant is that most of what drives us is beneath the surface, unconscious. When someone shares their dream with you, they're showing you that tip of the iceberg, that visible part of their deepest desires. If you laugh at it, you're not just dismissing their words. You're dismissing their entire inner world. Think about the people who have made the biggest impact on your life. Chances are they're people who believed in you when you didn't believe in yourself. They're people who took your dreams seriously, even when those dreams seemed impossible. They're people who never laughed at your aspirations, no matter how big or unconventional they were. Now think about the people you've lost respect for. I bet some of them are people who mocked your goals, who told you to be realistic, who laughed when you said you wanted to do something bold. That laughter stays with you. It creates a permanent stain on how you see that person. So when someone shares their dream with you, treat it as the sacred thing it is. Ask questions. Show genuine interest. Encourage them. Even if you privately think their goal is unlikely, your job isn't to be their reality checker. Your job is to be their supporter. Because here's the truth. Some of the most successful, accomplished people in history were told their dreams were impossible, and they succeeded because someone believed in them anyway. The fourth and final situation where you must never laugh is during someone else's moment of celebration or achievement. This might seem counterintuitive because we associate laughter with celebration. But there's a specific type of laughter I'm talking about here. Mocking laughter, dismissive laughter, or laughter that minimizes someone's achievement. You see this happen all the time. Someone gets a promotion, and instead of congratulating them, people make jokes about how they probably just got lucky or knew the right people. Someone graduates from college after struggling for years, and people laugh and say, "Took you long enough." Someone loses 20 pounds and shares their progress, and people laugh and say, "Only 20? You've got a long way to go." This type of laughter is toxic, and it reveals deep insecurity. Freud's concept of the ego teaches us that we construct our sense of self through comparison with others. When we feel threatened by someone else's success, when their achievement makes us feel inadequate, we try to diminish that achievement to protect our ego. We laugh to signal that what they've accomplished isn't really that impressive, but everyone sees through this. When you laugh at or minimize someone's achievement, you don't make them look small. You make yourself look small. You reveal that you're so insecure in your own worth that you need to tear down others to feel okay about yourself. Freud observed, "We are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love." While he was talking about romantic love, the principle applies to all human connection. When someone shares their achievement with you, they're making themselves vulnerable. They're hoping for validation, for recognition, for shared joy. If you respond with mocking laughter, you're attacking them at their most defenseless moment. The most respected people don't just avoid this trap. They go out of their way to celebrate others. They understand that there's enough success to go around. They know that lifting others up doesn't pull them down. They recognize that being genuinely happy for someone else's achievement is a sign of confidence and emotional maturity. There's a simple test you can use to check yourself here. When someone shares good news with you, notice your immediate internal reaction. Is it genuine happiness? Or is it envy, resentment, or the urge to diminish what they've accomplished? If it's the latter, that's a sign you need to work on yourself. Because respected people don't feel threatened by others' success. They feel inspired by it. Freud said, "One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. Every achievement, no matter how small it seems to you, represents someone's years of struggle. When they share that achievement, they're not just telling you about an outcome. They're sharing the culmination of effort, sacrifice, doubt, and perseverance. To laugh at that, to minimize it, to make jokes about it, is to disrespect their entire journey. So be the person who celebrates others wholeheartedly. Be the person who makes others feel seen and valued. Be the person who can be genuinely happy for someone else's success without making it about yourself. That's the kind of person people respect. That's the kind of person people want in their lives. Now let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Why do these four situations matter so much? Why does laughter in these contexts destroy respect so completely? The answer lies in what Freud understood about human nature. We're social creatures. We are constantly evaluating whether people around us are safe, trustworthy, and valuable to have in our lives. And we make these evaluations based on how people treat us and others in moments of vulnerability. Freud wrote, "Before you diagnose yourself with depression or low self-esteem, first make sure that you are not, in fact, just surrounded by assholes." While he used strong language, his point was profound. The people we surround ourselves with shape our mental and emotional health. And we instinctively know to avoid people who laugh at pain, failure, dreams, and achievements, because those people are toxic to our well-being. When you laugh in these 4 situations, you're sending a clear signal. I am not a safe person. I am not someone you can trust with your vulnerable moments. I am someone who will use your openness against you. And once people receive that signal, they never forget it. You might maintain superficial relationships with them, but you'll never have their deep respect or trust. On the other hand, when you demonstrate empathy, support, and genuine care in these situations, you become someone people gravitate toward. You become a person of influence. You become someone whose opinion matters, whose presence is valued, whose friendship is treasured. This is the secret that emotionally intelligent people understand. Respect isn't demanded. It's earned through consistent demonstration of character. And some of the most important character tests come in these moments when someone is vulnerable, and you have to choose, will I laugh or will I care? Freud's entire body of work was dedicated to understanding human behavior at its deepest level. He knew that we're complex creatures, full of contradictions and unconscious motivations. But he also knew that certain behaviors consistently predict certain outcomes. And laughing at pain, failure, dreams, or achievements consistently predicts loss of respect. So what should you do instead? How do you respond in these 4 situations if laughter is off the table? When someone shares their pain, listen actively. Validate their feelings. Show empathy without trying to fix everything. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is, "That sounds really hard. I'm here for you." When someone experiences failure, normalize it. Share a time you failed. Help them extract lessons from the experience. Remind them that every successful person has a long list of failures behind them. Be the person who helps them get back up. When someone shares their dreams, encourage them. Ask how you can support them. Connect them with resources or people who might help. Believe in their potential even if the odds seem long. Be the person who fans their flame rather than extinguishing it. When someone achieves something, celebrate with them. Make it about them, not about you. Express genuine happiness for their success. Recognize the work that went into it. Be the person who amplifies their joy rather than diminishing it. These responses might seem simple, but they're actually quite rare. Most people are so caught up in their own egos, their own insecurities, their own need for superiority, that they can't show up for others in these ways. But the few who can become the most respected people in any room. Freud once said, "Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise." So let me ask you to be honest with yourself right now. Have you laughed in any of these 4 situations? Have you dismissed someone's pain, mocked their failure, ridiculed their dreams, or minimized their achievements? If so, you're not alone. Most of us have done these things at some point, often without realizing the damage we were causing. But awareness is the first step to change. Now that you understand why these moments matter, you can start catching yourself. You can notice when you're tempted to laugh inappropriately and choose a different response. You can become more intentional about how you show up for others. And here's the beautiful thing. As you start responding to others with more empathy and support, something shifts in you. You become more secure in yourself. You become less threatened by others' success and more inspired by it. You become the kind of person you yourself would respect. This is the ultimate paradox that Freud understood. We think we laugh at others to elevate ourselves, but actually that laughter diminishes us. We think being supportive makes us vulnerable, but actually it makes us strong. We think respect is about dominating others, but actually it's about lifting them up. The choice is yours. You can continue down the path of cheap laughs at others' expense, losing respect little by little until you're surrounded by shallow relationships and people who don't trust you. Or you can choose the harder path of empathy, support, and genuine care, building deep respect that lasts a lifetime. Remember, respect isn't given. It's earned through countless small moments, where you choose to be the person who cares rather than the person who laughs. It's earned by being safe when others are vulnerable. It's earned by celebrating others as enthusiastically as you'd want to be celebrated. It's earned by recognizing that how you treat others in their lowest and highest moments defines who you are. Freud spent his life studying what makes us human, and what he found is that we're all vulnerable, all struggling, all hoping to matter. The people who respect that vulnerability in others, who honor that struggle, who validate that hope, those are the people who earn lasting respect. So the next time you're tempted to laugh at someone's pain, failure, dreams, or achievements, pause. Remember this video. Remember that your response in that moment will define how that person sees you forever. And choose to be the person worthy of respect. Thank you for watching.